The deadliest martial arts assassins have gathered for one purpose, and soon only one will remain. Get ready for a battle of deduction and deception that will draw out the best of your cunning, courage, and the 12 styles of ninja. Welcome, folks. Today we are going to be doing a preview of Ninjas, the Stealth Assassin Showdown, a game by Mike Jack Stoumbos and published by Double Exclamation Games. Usually, this is where I would take the time to show you what is inside the box. However, seeing as this is a preview prototype copy, that really wouldn't be too valuable, so we're going to jump straight ahead and take a look at how this game is played. Alright, so here we have the game set up for 2 players. And just another reminder before I go on, this is a prototype version. Many of the components will change after the Kickstarter funds, so please do keep that in mind as we work through this a little bit. So the purpose behind this game is to be the last ninja standing. And what we have is a hidden movement type game. In many ways this is similar to the old classic of Battleship that I'm sure every single one of us has played when we were young. Of course, the difference here is in this game you can move around, and you only have a single target. Additionally, this game actually also plays up to 4 players. So the first thing that happens is each player gets 2 footprint tokens. They get 2 Ninja Star tokens, and on the back of these Ninja Star tokens you'll find 2 other things. In this case we have the lamp here and the trap there. In addition to that, everyone gets a ninja pawn. And then a deck of 12 cards. And all of these decks are exactly the same. I'll just show a couple of them very quickly. Now, what's important about these cards is they are all broken down into either move or attack actions. And you can see that at the top left corner. You see there we have a move, ninja sneak. And here we have an attack, Ninja Star. Right. The game is broken down into 16 turns. Each of the 16 turns has 2 phases. You have your movement phase and you have your attack phase. Now the way this works is when the game starts, each player will select where on this 10 by 10 grid they are going to start. It's a little bit hard to see here, but you can see each of these squares has coordinates on it. For example, we have A1, G9, A10, and so on and so forth. Each player has a note card. And on that, what you do is you start out right over here. You decide where it is that your ninja is starting the game. So for the moment, let's say I wanted to have my ninja start here at C3. Now, instead of actually putting my pawn out on the board, rather what I do is I write on my card that I am starting at C3. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that if you're playing really well, you will never put your ninja pawn on this map. The idea is that you are all stealthy ninjas sneaking around this board trying to find and take out the other one, or other ones as the case may be. The first thing that you'll do when you start the game is after you've both decided where you are, is you will move right into the attack phase. To do that, you pick one of your attack cards. So, as I mentioned before, and I'm going to put my little pawn back out here just for ease of viewing. If I started the game at C3, I'm going to try to make an attack that will hit my opponent, or one of my opponents if I'm playing with more than one player. A la Battleship when you are firing your missiles off into the ocean trying to find out where your opponent is. So let's say I use my basic attack here, Ninja Star. If you look down here at the bottom, you can throw Ninja Star 3 standard or 2 diagonal spaces away. Standard meaning orthogonal. And so what I would do is I go to my note card and I would write down on my space here the card number that I'm using, which in this case for the Ninja Star is card number 2, and then I'm going to write down the space that I'm targeting. So let's say I want to target C6. and I think maybe my opponent is there. So I'll write down C6 on my card. Just like so. And at the same time, my opponent is doing the same thing. Once my opponent has also selected whatever it is that they're going to play, we both reveal our cards. So I have revealed my Ninja Star, and for the sake of argument, we'll say that my opponent also revealed a Ninja Star. I would place mine where I aimed, and he would place his where he aimed. And for the sake of argument, we'll say that his Ninja Star was targeting right here. So then we ask the questions. Are you in the space where the Ninja Star has landed? If the answer is yes, one of us has been wounded. If the answer is no, nothing happens and we move on. Now the key here is this gives us information as to where the other player may be. Because remember, there are no pawns on the map. So now, my opponent knows that I am either 3 orthogonal spaces away. So here, here. I cannot be over here because that's off the map. And I cannot be over here because that would be going through a wall. So he knows I am here, or 2 diagonal spaces away in any direction. And so now he's able to start deciphering where I may be. And I'm able to do the same thing, and that is where I might write that down on my notes. I might write down possible positions where I think my opponent may be. That is the end of the attack phase. So the next thing that we do is we move on to the movement phase in the next round. First thing you do is you clear off all the tokens. And after you've cleared away the tokens, you recollect any of your cards that say return to hand after playing. Many of the cards will tell you that you need to discard the card after playing. And if you do that, you simply put it off to the side. Then, just like you did with your attack, you decide what kind of move action you're going to take. And again, I will put myself back out here just so we can see what's going on. And I would select my move action. And so, for sake of argument, I will say that I'm going to do the Ninja Sneak. And that is a basic move, and I can move 3 orthogonal spaces or 2 diagonal spaces. And at the bottom, it says something about what happens if you change direction. And that means every time you change direction on your movement, you have to put down a footprint. So the way that works is, on my card, let's say I wanted to move to E4. So what that means is I'm actually moving 1, then I'm changing direction, and moving to E4. So that means at the place I change direction, I have to put down my footprint. And again, this is going to give my opponent a clue as to where I might be. At the end of this round, we will recollect all of the tokens. We will recollect our cards. Any card that says discard after playing goes into our own personal discard piles. And the game goes on and on like this until eventually someone gets hit. So let us just assume that later on, I am here at B6, and my opponent throws his Ninja Star, and at the end of the turn, we are set up something like this. Now his Ninja Star has landed on me. That means I have taken a wound. And so what happens is immediately I must reveal myself. I take 1 wound, and the way that works is I write on the bottom here on wounds taken, down here on the right, that I've taken a wound, and on the left, he would mark that he has given a wound. Then I would collect all of my cards back into my hand, even the ones that have been discarded, and my opponent would get to pick one at random. And assuming he does not get numbers 1 through 4, again, you can see the number right down here, this gets removed from my deck, and I no longer have access to it. It becomes a trophy for him, and it kind of represents that my ninja has been wounded and is a little bit less effective. The game continues on like this until the victory conditions are met, and the game comes with a couple of recommendations for what those might be. The first one is you decide how many wounds you can take. That can be 3, that can be 5, or somewhere in between. There is the sudden death option. Obviously, each time someone gets hit, they are out. Or there is you play all 16 turns and you see who has the most points. And that's where these points here come in. Wounds given, add a point. Wounds taken, take away a point. And that is how this entire game is played. It's important to note that at the beginning of the game, each player gets 4 of these small wall tokens and gets to set them out. And what those do is those change the environment a little bit. You cannot move through the walls. You can't throw your ninja stars through the walls. There are certain cards in here that will let you climb over the wall. Here, there's your ninja climb. And various other ways that it changes the board. There are some cards that rely on sight, where suddenly you're looking around, and these walls will block that. Each player has a lantern that they can throw out, and if it lands somewhere, if you're nearby, you are revealed, though of course the walls might block the line of sight, and so on and so forth. Now that we have a basic idea of how this game works, let's talk about what do I like about this game. I really like that they've taken a game that is a classic that I certainly played a lot as a younger child, and they have updated it. They have made it more interesting, they have made it much harder to win and to play, and they've added more strategy with the various types of movement and the various types of attacks. And they've really turned it into a tactical game, which I think is really, really cool. I think they've hit the nail on the head thematically. I think it is super clear that everyone is a super stealthy ninja. After all, you have no idea where everyone is. You barely know where you are half the time. And as you can see on the box that even pitches it, there's a ninja in the room right now. You can tell because you can't see them. And I think that's wonderful. And I also appreciate that the cards, which the art has been finalized, they may or may not be color added later on, though the text still needs a little bit of work. There's some typos on these prototype cards, and that's really no big deal. I also appreciate that they went the direction of the childlike ninja games. It almost feels like you are children running around on the playground playing ninja. And I say that because you look at the names here, things like Ninja Sneak and Ninja Climb, Ninja Dodge, and all these things. And it's not taking itself really too seriously. And I think more importantly, it's not making an attempt to be super, super authentic in a way that very possibly could wind up being offensive and culturally insensitive. Now, I'm sure there will be plenty of people who disagree with me on this and think, oh, no, it should be the other way around, and they should have tried that. But personally, I don't think so. I think this is really a fun way to go about it. Because after all, we have just taken a game that we played when we were children, and we have updated it for now that we are adults, but still kind of trying to grab on to that feeling and that nostalgia. Now, having said all of that, I do love the theme. I actually like the hidden movement gameplay. Let's talk about some of the things that I'm not as big of a fan of. And there's really not that much, but the main thing is I find this board to be pretty boring. And the reason is because of the earlier mentioned strength that it feels very stealthy is most of the time this is what you're looking at. There is nothing else out here. Occasionally you have your tokens that get thrown out, and every once in a while a pawn will be revealed or whatever it may be, but for the most part you're looking at a blank board. And I also find at the same time that if you're sitting on the sides or on the top of the board, it's actually a little bit difficult to read these coordinates, and I'm not sure if that is just because I have terrible eyesight, or if it's the font, or it's the color of the coordinates in the middle. I'm not sure, but I suspect that's something that'll get fixed in production. One of the other things that I didn't like as much is I find these cards to be a little bit fiddly. There's a lot you have to write down, there's a lot of detail you need to keep track of, and I personally, and it might just be because I'm not the sharpest ninja star out there, I often was losing track of where I was. I kept having to go back and say, oh, okay, no, I'm at C3, and then, okay, no, I moved to E4, so that means my attack can go here, and really doing a lot to try to track that, and I had a tough time with that. I would love to see some way for a player to track what they're doing visually. Maybe that's a miniature grid that comes with on the flip side of the card perhaps, and you can kind of track visually where you are so it's easier to make your plans, and that might speed up the game. I'm not sure. The other thing that I would like to see is, again, some way to make this board a little more exciting. And what that is, I have no idea. Maybe if you get wounded, you leave some kind of token on the map that shows, oh, someone was wounded there, which could be kind of cool in the sense that that's a way to suddenly tell the story of your battle visually on the map, even though there are no ninjas out there. Now, with all that said, I do think this is a fun game. I enjoyed playing it. Now, full disclosure, I've only played this game one-on-one. I haven't gotten the opportunity to play it with 3 or 4 players, and I think that that is where this game will shine. I think with 3 or 4 players, it'll add an element of chaos, as there are suddenly 4 different ninjas all over, there are 4 different ninja stars flying, there are people getting revealed, there's more walls, people climbing, some people play more aggressively and will be running all over the place, and people will be chasing them down. I think that could be a ton of fun and very exciting in its own chaos, and will really feel like the battle royale that this game really is. I do think that if you are the type of person that likes hidden movement games, that does not have a problem with taking time and really recording everything you do, if you're the type that would enjoy writing down the story of the game as you go, I think you would really love playing this game. So, if any of this sounds like something that could be fun for you, I really recommend you check out their Kickstarter, which is going to be coming on April 18th. And you get a little more information right there. You have the website at de-games.net. You can email for information at info@de-games.net, or you can find him on Facebook at Double Exclamation. I think this is an exciting first offering from a new publisher. I think the idea is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to some of the things that they come up with as stretch goals, if they choose to have them, whether that is different terrain, maybe that could be various expansions. I'm really looking forward to the possibilities behind this game. I think that as a base game, this is a really solid offering. It's not for everybody, but for the people who like this kind of game, I think you will really enjoy it. I think there's incredible potential for expansions. That could be different shaped boards, smaller, larger, not just squares. It could be hazards that are out there, different decks of cards that maybe you can customize your deck a little bit with special cards. Who knows? The sky's the limit. And so whatever it is that they choose to go with, I think it's definitely worth your time to check them out. Thank you all so much for watching our first official Kickstarter preview. And again, as always, if you have any comments of things that could have been done a little bit better, things that you liked, please leave them down in the comments. And if you would like to see our upcoming previews or upcoming reviews, you can subscribe, and I hope that you will. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thanks again for listening.